pretty great.
What color are you going with? Just blue? Light blue?
This one is Glacier Freeze, whatever the fuck that means.
So my wife is usually a big fan of the red one and the orange one.
Right,
But that's like when she's down and out sick and can't like hold anything down.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Pretty much what I've been using it for, to be honest.
I don't even have my notes up. Hello, Internet. How is everyone doing?
See, I usually
How
just
dare you say hello to those idiots?
sit in my bed hugging my camelback, sipping on water as I'm there trying not to die.
That is true. Sorry, I think I got a cat on my feet.
Cat.
Okay. I'm ready if you guys are.
Yep.
Yup.
All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hi.
Joined by Cat Louise and the Nymph.
Hello.
Patreon.com/E1M1.
Those ones be numbers.
Get early access to a whole bunch of additional shows like We Rogue Like It. You can get early access to Critical Misses. Just recorded another Critical Misses production meeting. There's another short one at just an hour again.
Yeah.
So that's exclusive to the $5 tier or higher. You also get access to the exclusive Outcast. We're talking about all the other stuff going on. If you want to hear us trying some new drinks this week, highly rated and highly regarded drinks. Next
week sounds like it's going to be a downer, judging by how the voting went today.
Yeah, there's some surprises and some I guess pleasant surprises and maybe not so pleasant surprises on that one. So
Yep.
check that out. Moon, do you want to talk about your new thing in this section as well, or do you want to save that until we have firmer details next week?
I'll mention it in passing. The Nymph and I, as my cat decides now is the perfect time for my bath, the Nymph and I are recording a supernatural watchcast because we're crazy people, apparently. So we are going to be putting out 2 episodes a month. We'll get the schedule and everything down later. But that's going to be Patreon exclusive, and giving you a little extra bang for your buck is essentially what we were looking for. So look forward to that in your feed soon. We will discuss dates and things when we get that nailed down.
Yep. So check that out. It'll all be coming. All that stuff is over at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
Okay, so out of curiosity, did anybody else start the game that got everybody hooked in the Discord channel?
I have played a little bit of it. Do you want to open with that?
I was gonna say, do we want to open with it or leave it for your section?
We can talk about it now.
Is that the golf game?
Yeah, Neko Golf.
There you go.
Yeah.
I saw everyone talking about this, and I'm like, that looks awesome. Nope.
Yeah, it is a cat-based anime golfing gacha, which everything seems pretty standard on the tin until you get to the actual shooting of the ball, and it turns into like the hardest video game I have played in my entire life. So what it does the normal thing where there's like a blue circle on the screen, and you drag it sort of down to the bottom left of the screen to sort of pull your club back, and then like most games you're flicking it the opposite way to shoot it, but as soon as you pull it back, it gives you like the Dark Souls of golfing games interfaces where the shot meter starts moving and it kind of twists back and forth. So not only are you trying to get your shot accurate. So you're trying to drag it directly opposite the way that you have pulled it back, but you're also trying to hit it in the sweet spot of this constantly moving gauge. It's a nightmare. I don't know what monster designed this interface. It's cruel.
Whatever happened to the good old triple tap?
Mm-hmm.
Like, tap to start, tap to stop, tap to accuracy. Like,
right.
A 3-tap system has clearly been proven time and time again to be the best for golf.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. It just is. But yeah, I'm really struggling with this. Like,
yeah.
Says the guy who got like 6 wins in a row. But apparently I'm not the only one struggling with it, is what I'm hearing.
It's
because
I don't know if I'm going to keep playing it, because like it seems like a fairly standard gacha game. It's pretty cute. Like it looks good. The cats are cute. It runs really nicely. Load times are long for some reason.
Yes, they are.
For like seemingly no reason. But I think between the combination of seeing where the gacha system is going to be about a mile away, and then the industry's cruelest shot meter, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest like drawback to it right now. Like, because unlike other people on this show, I am not a gacha game player. I have zero experience with this kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unlike, let's say, Possum, for example, who has lots of experience with this kind of game. I've heard you talk about banners for too long to not have picked some things up at some point.
Well, and my concern about this game largely stems from... I always get concerned with a gacha game where your main equipment, in this game it's your clubs, where your main equipment can be upgraded, and that influences your stats. To me, that's kind of a red flag coming from a mile away, where it's like, well, you probably could have beaten that person if you would have just been able to, hit the ball 5 more yards than they do. And it's, if your club was higher than level 20, you could have been doing that. $25, please, thanks. Like it's concerning.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this as well with Power Star Golf, with all of their like upgrades and stuff like that in their things. I will probably keep playing for a little bit, not a huge amount of time, but probably at least for a little bit, just because I am having relative fun with it. And it seems like I'm playing with a lot of Japanese people, which I'm absolutely fine with, because they don't spam emotes at me like the snap, the Thanos snap emote.
Snap, 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 snap.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm saying, it's like a lot of gacha games tend to be fun. It's just once you hit that wall, which some of them don't have, but you'll hit that wall a lot of times where it's like, okay, now I have to start putting money into this for it to start being fun.
Yeah, it starts off as like, hee hee, cats, anime, and pretty soon it's like, open the wallet, baby. And it's just like, no, please. No.
Which my thing was, I had seen it, and this all looks good. Like, all the screenshots that everyone had in the Discord and the video that we're watching now, it all looks cool, it all looks fun, it looks standard. But yeah, I watched a couple videos about what you guys were just describing for how to hit the ball, and I'm like, no, I'm out.
Yeah, it's
weird.
It's really, because like, when I think of a kind of a fun, cheery golf game that's maybe a little bit harder than it looks, I think of like the Hot Shots Golf games, where they look fun, they look kind of charming, and once you get into it, you're like, wow, this is a hardcore golf game. Like you
it's
guys
an actual simulator.
Power Star was the same.
Like, same with
Power Star
Star
was ridiculous.
Yep.
It's like, oh look, it's cute, and everyone's got special abilities. Like, no, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Everybody's got special abilities. Like, yeah, but I feel like those were at least fairly approachable. But I think the very first time that you see that sort of shot meter swinging back and forth, I'm just like, no, no. Well, you guys are these monsters.
No, I mean, I'm watching the video again. Is that something that you feel you could eventually get good at, or does it seem like an obstacle that you just always have to overcome every time you take a shot?
I do feel like I'm improving at it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where like, I'm using my phone to do this, and like maybe a cat bumps me, or maybe I shift a little bit, and then as
Yeah.
I'm doing that, my finger just moves
It's off in the forest.
less than a millimeter to the side, and then it's a miss shot, and all of a sudden I'm out of bounds.
Yeah, because
it's
I
weird.
I think for me the concern isn't the swinging. It's a combination of things. The swinging thing is hard enough, but you have to, after you pull that blue circle back, you have to, like the golf club or like Tiger Woods or anything, you have to send the meter back directly the same way you pulled it. So it's
Oh,
not
so you're not
only,
releasing, you're actually sliding it
yeah,
forward.
you're sliding
Oh,
it back.
okay.
So it's a combination of hit that thing straight on as it goes towards the meter, and hit the meter in the middle. That I think that's what is really a problem for me, is like, if you were just releasing and just like letting go at the right time and letting it fly, that would probably be fine, but the combination of the two is too much for me. And you do that during putting as well,
Okay.
which is rough. In putting, instead of you doing
So hard.
power, you're doing meters. So you say like, oh, the hole is 7 meters away and it's a slight uphill, so I'll shoot it at 7.5 meters, and that's where you pull the like marker back to. It's
Gotcha.
a lot for a cat-based golf gotcha game. So
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't seem like a lot at all. Like, I have no idea what's going on with these things. I don't know. I don't know gacha games, so I don't know the gems, the stamps, the everything. And I'm just like, I'll probably play it for as long as I feel like playing it.
until it gets greedy.
Yeah, or until I just get bored and forget to play it one day.
Yeah.
Like I've consistently played Disney's Pop Town Extravaganza thing.
Yep.
I've consistently played that, except for the past 2 weeks when I was down with COVID. I forgot to play it, so sure, why not?
Right.
Like, that probably won't last that much longer. But no, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah,
Give it a shot if you haven't.
Yeah, it's I don't it's tough to really explain kind of why I do or don't like it, but I know that my brain is having a really hard time with that whole interface, and I feel like it's a little bit, when you play something like the golf club and it relies on you very cleanly pulling the stick back and very cleanly pushing it away from you in like an exact straight manner, that feels okay, because that's on you kind of figuring out the mechanics and kind of getting the ball exactly where you want it to go. But adding on top of it that other thing is it's too much, I think.
Yeah, the timing based side is a bit weird.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it's whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll see how long we keep talking about it.
Yep.
My second game, we might as well talk about this one now, is Marvel Snap.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, it's just one of those games that I playing as I play it kind of thing. I think this season's got a 5-week season. I think we're up to like week number 4 starts tomorrow or something. But
yeah, because
so far,
for anyone that hasn't played it, it's really, each season is like a month long. And I haven't really been playing this season. I feel like one of my number one, I haven't had the time, but I think the other issue for me is that I kind of don't care about the rewards this season. I've never really liked the Savage Land stuff from the comics, and that's really what this whole season is. So a lot of the cards are like, yeah, man, collect Devil Dinosaur. There's a bundle for Devil Dino in the store, and he just looks like a dinosaur. It's like, cool, I guess. All right, sure.
Like, does he wave his arms?
No, sadly.
No, unfortunately,
yeah.
no.
Some of the other cards I have are much more fun, but like a lot of the stuff in this is just, it's not that great. So I haven't been playing.
I mean,
much.
One of the great things about the winter timed event that they did was like, you don't have to pay anything, just open collection caches, and then you might get the winter rewards.
Mm-hmm.
You get the whole bunch of like special like freezy winter theme people, which I think was cool.
Yeah.
I
didn't get
2
any cards from that.
Yeah, really.
I didn't get anything.
So I didn't have Rogue and I didn't have Patriot, and I got both of the winter variants, and then promptly, as soon as the winter thing ended, I got the regular versions of them as well, because
wow,
why
nice.
not?
Okay.
I guess. But no, I have also just got leader. I'm in the process. I need to rebuild all of my decks from scratch, because it's just okay, I guess
You
I
got
got
some
many more
critical
cards. Yeah, I got a whole bunch more than I used to have, and a lot of them are the big boy cards, like Ultron and Doom and everything else.
Yeah, like
I did see
got a nice
that cool
Ironheart
Ironheart variant
right.
in my store. It's if I used it, it'd be great, but I don't use it, so I won't. But no, Marvel Snap continues to be devilishly addictive, I think is the nicest way of putting it.
Still highly recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys listen to the Next Landed Game of the Year stuff yet?
I did, where Alex Navarro had some choice cautionary words for playing Marvel Snap. I don't know if
He did.
share his how critically cautious he is about recommending it, but
I do.
yeah,
I 100% do.
yeah.
It's I'm not a card game person, and this is one of those things. Was maybe I could be a card game person. Look at this world of card games that is open in front of me.
Right.
It has been a long time since I played Hearthstone. Maybe I should give that a shot.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna summon the Magic the Gathering crowd.
Oh goodness, yeah.
I don't need that monster on my back either.
Right.
No, it's Marvel Snap. It's fun. It's stupid. It's great.
It continues to be really great.
Yes, and they have made a hell of a game. I will give them credit where it's due. They made a really good card game that's really fun and short and simple to play.
Yep.
Now things are things are going to get predictable before they get weird.
Okay.
Nice.
So the predictable part, obviously, is Monster Hunter Rise.
Yes.
I did not know that this was a Reach for the Moon engine game.
Oh,
sir.
I didn't either.
I did not know that engine ran on the Switch.
Yeah, I didn't either, because I feel like most of the Resident Evil games they have on there are streaming.
I will tell you that when I loaded that game, even though we all know it's Reach for the Moon, I still said, "Oh, it's the Resident Evil engine," and we just started laughing. And my son looked at me kind of weird and was like, "You don't get it because Capcom doesn't either."
Yep.
So yeah, I started playing Monster Hunter Rise, which is essentially the Game of the Year / remake version of the Switch game that came out last year or the year before.
Yeah, it came out on Switch originally, and then PC a little while after that, and then now the kind of current gen and last gen consoles.
Yes. I am still a baby hunter at this point. I'm not even rank 2 yet.
Okay.
So as Boston shows chaos and anarchy on the screen, I'm not at that stage yet.
Right.
I'm at the this little lizard that I need to kill 10 of, the little guys.
A couple iguanas.
That's where I'm still at too.
I am still at that point, but oh boy, the game looks great. Let's talk about that. It does look great. It looks a little bit more smooth.
Yeah, I was saying, it looks
to.
smooth, but every once in a while, especially during the movies, it'll do something, and you can see the shading or the shadowing is off and weird, and and you're like, okay, now you can kind of see the Switch port being there, but outside of that, it looks good.
And this is on Game Pass, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Nice.
Day one Game Pass, and so I have a usual crowd I play Xbox games with. Literally on Thursday I was busy doing other things, but on Friday when I got home, got fed, did everything else, switched on my Xbox, looked at my friends list, and it's Monster Hunter all the way down.
8 people playing Monster Hunter all at the same time.
And it's this is my people. My people are here with me. They're here.
They were just waiting.
Yeah, exactly. I know who is fellow weirdos based on who's playing what on that friends list.
Your PSP weirdos.
Yes. It still tickles me that I tried so hard to talk you into playing that PSP game, and you were just like, as soon as you saw the tutorials, you were like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm out.
The thing is, I know that I would like the Monster Hunter games, but for me, it's going to have such a huge ramp to not only just the tutorials, but also the like hunting down small stuff and getting to the point where you're going to hunt down the really big stuff, and like I don't want to do the little stuff.
You just want to go straight for the big boys.
Yeah, I want to go for
Which,
like
I mean,
I'm hunting down a dragon, man.
You can do that because I kind of did that when I was playing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was punching way above my pay grade on the first map, and it took me the better part of the 50 minutes that I had to finally take down the thing, because I was doing, onesie twosies for damage.
Sure.
But so I mean, if you want to put the time in, and you don't mind possibly dying a couple times or being aggravated by some of the weird control things that are going on here, you can do that.
Right.
It's kind of like Dark Souls. You can run through this butt naked and, swinging your little swords. It's just, do you want to put in that time?
Yeah, it's like, where do you put the time in for kind of leveling up your character and gearing it, or do you spend the time fighting the bigger guys?
I mean, in all honesty, like for you as well, I would probably say give it a shot if you are that interested in it. But pick yourself a ranged character, someone who you don't have to have the 10 years of back knowledge of these monsters' attacks and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, because when I go against the Rathalos, I know 2 or 3 of the attacks I'm going to face guaranteed. They probably will have added more in there, but I know 2 or 3 of them easy.
Sure.
Whereas, like, I think if you choose a ranged option, which they do have like 5 or 6 now.
Oh, nice.
Or even be the trumpet boy. Like, get a group of your friends together and be the trumpet boy, where you can play the mace / horn.
The giant horn.
Yeah.
And like play those sweet tunes.
What weapon are you going with right now?
I'm hybriding between the greatsword, which is the sharpened coffee table, as Rob likes to put it, and the switch axe, which is an axe that turns into a sword.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right.
I'm still running with the dual blades right now, just so I can get my mind back into the pacing and everything. Because I did start off with the default weapon was the longsword, I think it was, that it starts everybody off with. Yes. And I was not liking that at all. Considering how slow it is compared to the amount of damage that you're doing, it is not a trade-off at all.
That's why I like the greatsword, because the greatsword is like, it's slow. It's the slowest weapon in the game, but also you hit like a truck. So
was it with in World, I think I was doing the greatsword switch to sword and board, I think it was, or maybe it was the axe. I thought there was 2 versions of the switch weapons. I can't remember now. Okay. But I remember switching back and forth because you would have the option of having the heavy weapon that could do damage, but was extremely slow compared to the switched version, which was less damage but a lot faster. So
yeah, and that's what the switch axe is for me right now. It's I'm getting back into this. I don't really want to like do the 50,000 potions taking with me every single trip to heal thing. So I'm just going switch axe for a while, see how that goes. Pharaoh in chat asks if this is a good entry point. I think it is.
It's this or World, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's as good of an entry point as World was, because World was one of those games that's just like, yo, we took all of the Monster Hunter stuff out and just made a really good character action game.
Yeah, because
it took most of the Monster Hunter stuff out.
Yeah, because for what I'm understanding for this one is it's kind of not a step back from World, but it doesn't necessarily have the kind of quality of life improvements that World had in it. So it's maybe more of a classic Monster Hunter experience.
There's a lot
it's
more...
It's a hybrid, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot more menu stuff going. Like if you played Try, it's a lot more akin to that, where everything is menu based for the most part. Whereas World had it more streamlined, where it was easier for you. Like trying to play a multiplayer game with my son, it took us like the better part of 10 minutes to, okay, we got him in the game. Now I have a quest. For some reason,
now he needs to accept the quest on the quest board.
He has to go to a quest board to accept the quest, but because he didn't hit ready and I already said, okay, we're good to go, he didn't go with me into the quest, and now he can't join the quest, so I have to abandon the quest, go back, do the same thing, make sure he hits that he's ready to go, and then we can advance to doing the quest.
Yeah,
so
it's the stuff that's all like second nature once you're into it, but it's a lot of like, all right, we're starting the mission, I'm solo. Wait, what happened?
Which I am all about the minutia crap, which is why I like these games too. But this is minutia to the point of I haven't played it in a while, like old Monster Hunter in a while. So I'm having to remember what things do that I haven't had to mess with in a long time.
Yeah, right.
Yep. The dog is great, I will say. Like having the Palamute is what he's called, which is the dog that you can literally mount and ride throughout the entirety of the map.
That's great.
That's great
make
because
him look
it
like
doesn't use
Rapide.
your stamina.
Great. And I one of the things that's always kind of driven me crazy about Monster Hunter is like, all right, I've got this monster on the ropes. It ran away. Okay, cool. Now I gotta like hoof it from zone 4 to zone 6, which is 5 zones away. And I like we're watching some of the footage here on the video version, but it looks like the dog can kind of cook. And it can move pretty quickly.
It runs faster than you do. It does not drain your stamina. It does not have a stamina. And
That's
you can
great.
do everything on top of it. If you see materials on the ground, you can pick them up. You can climb up vines on its back.
That's great.
Potions, rations, sharpening your weapon again. You can do all of that while you're riding.
You can even attack with the dog while you're still on top of it. I mean...
that sounds like a really huge improvement.
My dumb favorite thing to do is the same thing that I was doing in Elden Ring, where you charge the monster, jump off at the last minute, and then you just do a falling attack. Because,
that's the good stuff.
Hit that right trigger, get the dog to jump too, and then jump off the top of the dog while he's at the very top, and then get a super duper plex on the
and
way.
then you've got and then you've got the wire flies, so you can go even higher if you wanted to, and it's fun. It's crazy.
That's cool,
but it's fun.
Yeah, there is a lot going on, as there always is in any Monster Hunter game, to be honest. But it's just one of those games that I adore.
Getting back to Pharaoh, I would suggest if you're going to choose this one to jump into over World, probably look up but top 10 things to know before starting
like
kind of videos.
8 beginner tips.
Because you can figure it out. It's just like I said, there's some stuff where it just throws like every tutorial at you, and you can access all of them, but it's like I said earlier, it's all menu based. So next thing you know, you've got a menu that went from 3 options to you've got like 6 tabs and 5 subfolders that you're going through
just to learn about like what should I bring with me in my supply box.
What button was the attack button?
Right.
Oh, that's the other thing too. The controls on this is kind of weird. Running is right bumper, attack is Y and B. There is no official jump unless you're already in the air, then you can technically double jump. It's wild. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean,
it's an interesting one.
Yeah. And I think that's why everyone keeps saying it's like it's good, but there's just it went in a weird direction for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
mean, it's still great.
Yeah.
I'm already like sitting there planning out my wish list of my on my smithy stuff, so I can start farming for specific types of armor, so I can do specific types of damage and resistance.
Right.
Like, yes, please give me that weapon that gives me plus fire damage, or the one that I can paralyze people with, so that I can try and deliberately chop off their tails because I want that goodness.
I've gotten really into picking up the random bugs and stuff that you can find so that you can blind monsters or poison them or sleep them. Another thing that got brought up, which is kind of what you could do in World, was once you get a monster to a point, you can technically mount them, which helps out, especially when, I was going to say, it looks like they're doing it in the video right now. It helps out, especially when there's another monster that decides that they're going to get in the same brawl that you're fighting. And so they help weaken each other, and then you can eventually do this and just jump on top and have it attack the other monster.
Oh, interesting.
Which is fun. They also have the little bar at the bottom of the video. Once that fills, you can hit Y and B, and it does like the monster's ultimate combo things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who knew Monster Hunter was a Pokemon game the whole time?
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's Monster Hunter, so that's what I'm here for. But
Yeah, it's great. I will probably spend too much time playing this game because it's a Monster Hunter game, and that's what I do.
Right.
But
I still
it's,
yell at myself when I hit too many times to attack, and then I'm just whiffing air, and I'm just like, really?
Yep.
There's you're always fighting that one monster that is slightly faster, and you feel like you've got them, like you're close enough, and then they just back up just a hair, and you're just sitting there shadow boxing.
Right.
It's just, oh my God, come on.
I got the Kula or whatever it's called, the bird that picks up the stupid rock, and I was like, oh great, you're back. Fantastic.
Oh, it's you
They're
again.
done without you.
All right.
He picks up a big rock, and then you can't hit him from the front because he's just holding this big rock as like a defense against you. But it's really cool, but also kind of annoying. My final game this week is Minecraft Dungeons.
Oh, okay.
Because why not throw something completely random into the mix? I like Minecraft. I've always liked Minecraft. Dungeons is a perfectly acceptable Diablo version of Minecraft, which, you know, based on what they're talking about, Minecraft suddenly having a MOBA game and everything else that's going on in Minecraft recently, like,
so
apparently this was just them testing the waters.
Yeah, I played this when it came out 2 years ago or so. I found it pretty okay, but
fine.
I know they've put a ton of work into it and released just a metric ton of DLC. Did you play it originally when it came out?
I played 3 levels originally.
Okay.
That's how much I played it originally. So not a whole lot.
How's it feeling now? Because when it was on release, it was sort of like, this is fine. Like, I'm obviously way above the age range for this game. Like, it's very clearly intended to be either kind of like your first Diablo Elite game, or, you know, you love Minecraft and you're looking for more Minecraft in your life. But it felt kind of thin.
It feels very much still the same, where it is like very much a my first Minecraft or my first Diablo kind of game. But they put a lot into this, like a lot more into this. There is, if you complete levels that you've already completed before, you get banner captains who will spawn in, and when you kill them, you can pick up their banners, and then those banners make the level harder, which increases the rarity of the loot.
Interesting.
The loot. They have the Master Chief Collection season pass thing as well, where you can pick which season pass you want to work on, and then work on that season pass.
Yay!
Oh, cool.
Which is great. More games need to do this, please. I don't care about your...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't even know they had season passes in this.
Yep, I think they're on their 3rd now. There's like 4 pieces of DLC, which is entirely new areas, entirely new enemies, and all this kind of stuff too. It's like, there's a lot going on in this game that number 1 was definitely not there previously. But it was one of those things where I needed an option for a specific age group to play, so then this came up, and I was like, yeah, I don't feel like playing split screen actual Minecraft, thank you very much.
Right.
But maybe we'll give this one a try, and it went down really well, and like, it was one of those weird things where it's like, this is actually really solid. Like, I forgot how genuinely solid of a game it was. Like, it's put together well, it's got a good look, it's got a good feel. And the difficulty, the fact that they have like scaling difficulty that you can pick from at the start of every level is actually really, really good. Yeah, I can turn it down or up as needed depending on who is playing it.
I'm glad to hear they've stuck with it, because I think when we talked about it originally, it was sort of like, this could be a cool thing, but it seems like it's over pretty quick. Even if you want to really grind a lot, it seemed like it wasn't a super exciting experience. But I'm glad to hear that they've stuck with it.
There's so much stuff in it now, and like, it still tickles me that the bad guy is called the Illager, which is just
yep, it's really good.
Like, it's quality naming right there, kind of thing. But no, it's fun. It's great. It was dumb, like whittled away a couple of hours playing it, and had a good time while I was doing it.
Nice.
But that's pretty much all I've been playing. Mr. Nymph, take me away. I got it right this week.
So we already talked about Monster Hunter Rise. Jedi Fallen Order. I completed the game again.
Nice.
That cameo was still fantastic, and I still enjoy the fact that you don't actually fight the final boss. You just run away from the final boss.
Okay.
And then I started doing some of the trophy hunting stuff a little bit. This game desperately needed them to add being able to warp between meditation points, because some of these maps get complicated to a point where it is not fun to explore when you need to get to a certain point very far away from where you land.
So you can like teleport between planets, but not between points on a planet?
Correct.
Gotcha.
The map
It's
is difficult to read. It's the up-down perspective, and it's also 3D, and you can change what level you're looking at, but when you're sitting here, like I said, rotating the map and trying to look to see where to go, and then you realize after following a specific route that, oh, this route is no longer accessible because of something that happened in the story. So now you have to retrace your steps back to your ship and try to figure out, okay, so how do I get to that point?
Oh, that stinks, yeah.
I've also got an area on the second planet where I've grabbed everything that I can find. I've explored it as much as I think I can, and it's still showing that that area is only 78% explored. And I'm like, it's not that big of an area, and I have no clue what I'm missing to even get that to be 100%. Outside of my grumblings for looking at achievement stuff, because I did get a bunch of them, it is still fun to play. I'm really enjoying running around in it, and I'm still really enjoying stabbing people in horrible, horrific ways.
Yeah. Does
picking them up with the force, sending them flying off the edges, the usual.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the second one comes out this year, right?
Yes, it comes out towards the end of March. I believe it's the
okay.
24th, but
that's
which is what kind of prompted me to replay this again. Because I was like, all right, it's been long enough that I remember the high points, but I don't remember the in between. So I am super excited for the second one to start. I might come back and play around with it to maybe get the rest of the achievements, but like I said, navigating that map sometimes, especially on the bigger ones, is kind of a hassle.
Yeah.
And it's not even refighting the enemies in those areas. That's fine. I don't have any issues with it. It's just I just want to get to the spot. Like, just
right.
Give me an idiot line at least, so I can figure out how to get
or at
there.
least on the map, like like put a big red X if you can't go down a path anymore because of some story thing that happened. Like, at least update the map at some point to say, hey, remember when you destroyed this cliff? Still can't go that way. You did it like 30 hours ago.
On Dathomir specifically, I have to get back to where you fight the major boss in that area. And I am trying to find all these other ways. And I actually there's like this whole subterranean thing that I went through, because at one point you pull down a bridge and then you have to go around and then you can climb under it to continue. So I was trying to reverse that path. And I got to that bridge, and the thing that you're supposed to climb on underneath the bridge is too tall for you to grab. Like, it's just too high up in the air for you to be able to grab it. So I'm like, great, now where do I go? And I'm sitting here studying this map for a good 5 minutes, and I'm not finding anything that would lead me back to that area, but I know I can get back there somehow. And then I'm like, I'm not going to look up a video to try to figure this out, because then I got to follow what somebody else is doing, and that just is a hassle. So, but hopefully
Dathomir is also a nightmare to get around in the first place.
Yeah. But hopefully that's something that they add to the second game. That besides how the Wookiees look, not being able to fast travel 2 different meditation points on the map is like my only other biggest gripe. Other than that, the story's fine, the gameplay's fantastic. I love it. So I just 2 more weeks or 2 more months.
Needs a little TLC.
And I hope, because I've been pretty dark on media for the next one, I hope they don't add like a light dark system, because it just doesn't need it.
Right.
Whatever. My final game that I played this week is Marvel Midnight Suns.
Oh yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about this on Pup recently.
You two talking about it is the reason why I picked it up.
All right.
Because GD it if Boston didn't say the killer words that made me want to buy this, which is, oh, it's like Metal Gear Acid.
Uh-huh.
Oh no!
I had
Boston, no.
I had a revelation when Musim was talking about it. I was like, wait a minute, this sounds like Metal Gear Acid. And I was watching some gameplay, and I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble.
Well, so listening to Musin talk about it, I was like, man, this sounds right up my alley. That sounds like a lot of fun. And then, like I said, Boston gave me the death bullet on that one. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm buying this one now. So,
Yep.
so I'm not going to rehash everything that Musim had said, but I will say that I am having a lot of fun with it. The story so far, I mean, it's your basic comic book story. Things have gone wrong. You are the chosen hero. Everyone makes fun of you in the beginning about being the chosen hero.
Magic.
There is a heavy influence of magic in this one, where even you have Captain Marvel that shows up eventually, and she starts talking about how she feels kind of out of place because she's just there for raw strength.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I don't know anything about any of this magic stuff that you're all talking about. I'm just here to beat things up that you need help with.
Right.
But yeah, they keep a lot of the comic book humor in this. Doctor Strange has been called Dr. Spooky a lot.
Okay.
To the point, and no one has ever corrected it to your character. So your character has started calling him Dr. Spooky.
Great.
Because, a man named Iron Man calls him Dr. Spooky.
Right.
So, whatever.
He's to be trusted.
Yeah. But there's just a lot of weird random stuff that it's like they'll say something stupid, like, just dumb comic book quips, and you're like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it seems much more comic book influenced, more so than like TVs or movies or anything like that.
I also like how they've kind of the grind cycle that they have for this, where basically once you get outside of the tutorial battles and all that, you basically get into a cycle of you wake up and start your day. You walk throughout the grounds. You can either go through and start doing research for stuff. You can spar. You can train. You can combine your cards to make them better. Combine cards for other characters. Walk around the grounds. Like inside the building, there's these like stupid little glowing orbs that you can pick up. And they're like essences that you can use to help you upgrade stuff or make stuff in the forge. So you can walk around and pick those up. They're kind of a pain because they've got random lights, and the way that some stuff reflects in the game, it kind of looks like those orbs from far away, and they are not. I can't tell you how many times I've checked out one leg in the forge because it shines purple, just the same shiny consistency as the purple orbs that I am looking for.
Right.
But yeah, so you go around grabbing those. But then when you get into the rest of the grounds, it's like a puzzle. So starting out, you're looking for these elemental rods, and they're hidden on this ground. And the grounds are pretty big. But once you get to a certain point, you start unlocking like this blessing that you get from a god. And this allows you to open locked doors. So now you can explore a little more. And I've got another skill or ability that I can unlock now, but I have to do like a trial for it. And the trial says you have to be level 8. At the time I was 3. So I was like, I'll come back to this in a bit. But once I have that ability, I see like all these stone markers everywhere that has this symbol on it. So it seems like it's going to open more of the grounds. And and you just continue exploring. So I like how outside of battle, you've got all this exploring that you can do, or you can just completely ignore it. According to the tutorial, none of it's required. If you don't want to do any of that, you just want to only pick a mission and go, you can do that.
Oh, interesting.
So once you pick a mission, you can only do one mission a day. You grab whatever. There's like side quests or like story missions. I've been doing side quest galore. I think I may have quote unquote over leveled in this because I thought I wasn't paying attention, and I thought I was just doing the side quests that were originally handed out to me until I noticed that, oh no, it just keeps giving me more side quests.
Oh, interesting.
So I've been ignoring the main mission and just doing these side quests, and now everything's kind of easy by accident. Right. So, but once you pick a mission, you get dropped down into an area, and like Musim was saying, it's not like XCOM at all.
Right.
You don't have to worry about movement. You don't have to worry about cover. You don't have to worry about hit percentage. Everything hits.
Yep.
The only time you have to move is when you'll find like there's like random stuff on the ground. There's like crates that you can jump over, which will allow you to attack somebody that's behind it. There's like bins, like huge dumpsters that you can kick or whatever, and you can choose which direction it goes to hit enemies. There's light posts that you can knock over. To be able to do those or change what direction they are going or you're attacking in, you can move your character.
So you can like position to do those attacks.
But there's no cover system. That you don't have to move. The person can be on the other side of the map, which they're not very big, and your character will just run over there and do their attack.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, and that's fine. I don't need XCOM right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's an XCOM. You know, you got your cover, you got your movement, you got a 95% chance to hit, and it doesn't hit. You know, all the good stuff. But it's kind of refreshing that it isn't like that, and it's much more focused on kind of your placement and, you know, hitting an enemy so he hits someone else and that person hits an air conditioning unit, and then you get a movement, you get a card back because you like hit 2 dudes into 1 dude, and you get some bonuses for that. And that seems really cool.
And there's also, so the way they have the enemies set up too is that you've got minions and you have elites.
Mm-hmm.
And minions, they die no matter what. If you do 1 damage or 100 damage, they are gone.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. And then you have the elites where it's like, okay, these guys have like 30, 40, 60 health, you know, whatever.
Okay.
So those are the ones that you would, you know, your high-end ones. It's kind of like the comic books where you've got the trash mob that they always throw.
Your cannon
got the one
fodder.
bad guy in the back. Yeah, that, you know, you have to really think and take down. And I think they did a really good job with that, where it's like, yeah, you've got like 3 elites on the map and you've got like 5 minions.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you were saying, with like magic, she can create these portals. So you get a card for her where it's like create a free portal, and you can choose what direction that portal is facing. And her one of her main attack cards is she will hit somebody into a portal that she's created, and then that other portal that you created earlier is the exit portal.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do this domino effect where you launch this minion into a portal, it exits out the other way, hits another minion, and takes both of them out, or maybe even a third one if you can line them up just right.
Right.
She's also got this other ability where basically it drops like an AoE red circle, and you can try to catch as many people within it as you can. I think it's called Gather. And she basically teleports all of them at once, opens a portal in the sky, and just drops them.
Oh, nice.
And like, depending on where you're dropping them and what's around, yeah, you could have a guy fall on top of like a generator, and then he's shocked.
Oh, interesting.
While the rest of the minions are dead. There's other things where it's like if you're fighting on a roof, you can knock people off a roof with one of the knockback cards. There's like a little percentage meter that does pop up. This is, oh, this person has like 100% chance of being knocked off the roof, or a 50% chance. And they all do like the little balancing thing.
Right.
Where it's like the one guy's slightly too far back on the roof, but then maybe he catches himself or maybe he doesn't, and it's an automatic knockout. But then you've got other cards that you can use, like with the Ghost Rider that you have. He can create basically a portal to hell that you can put anywhere that an enemy isn't standing, and you can knock an enemy into it, and there's a percentage of that enemy being instantly KO'd.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can play with and a lot of different skills, and that's like just the base stuff before you start upgrading the cards and all that. So there's like a lot of weird effects going on, and I'm having a lot of fun playing it. The story is all right. Like I said, there's a couple of the jokes that they've thrown out there. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And,
yeah.
You know, get a chuckle out of me, but I'm having a lot of fun with all of it, really.
Yeah, it seems really cool.
I know some people complained about there not really being a romance in this, which I'm fine with. I'm not really here for that, but whatever. You do have an in-game currency and a money, like real-life money currency.
Oh, okay.
The in-game currency will buy you costumes and stuff within the game. Those you earn through like battles and just randomly finding them and doing side quests and all this other stuff. The money currency, I'm not messing with at all. There is some cool-looking stuff that you can buy with real-world money. The season pass was like $49 or something like that. I am not buying that.
That's so expensive.
Yeah, it is. I might wait for a sale to pick that up. Because it sounds, it sounds like they are planning on releasing like a ton more maps. There are a bunch more heroes coming out with a bunch more costumes and all of that.
Okay.
However, sight unseen, $50 for a game that's already
Yeah.
$69 is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's too much.
But with the in-game, I believe it's called Glee or Glean, the in-game currency that you can get to unlock costumes for characters. It may only be cool to me, but when you buy new costumes or color palettes for your character or the other heroes, there's a stupid little slider at the top that says change daily. And what that does is every day when you wake up, heroes will randomly be wearing whatever outfits you've bought for
I
them.
love that stuff. I wish more games did that.
And that was kind of my thing, because I'm always that guy where it's like, okay, why do, like cartoons, why does everyone always wear the same outfits? Shows, why is everyone always in the same outfits? And this just adds that little stupid layer of detail of, okay, I woke up and today, Neko is wearing a purple tank top. Tomorrow she's wearing a leather jacket and pants. I mean, so it's just...
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice feature.
A nice touch.
I don't see why that isn't in more things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it feel more fresh. But yeah, other than that, I'm just having a lot of fun with this game. Like I said, most of the side missions anyway, maybe 10, 15 minutes. Maybe.
Yeah,
like
so
you get the timer.
You're not in a fight for like 2 hours and moving all your pieces and everything. It's not a game like that.
There are different variants of missions. Some of them are just like show up and beat everybody up, and they always come in waves. So he's like beat everyone up, or hey, there's these 2 delivery trucks that have artifacts in them. You need to get them before they leave, and you've got like 3 turns. Meanwhile, one of the trucks is being protected by a guy with a shield who has the protect status on that cargo, so you can't get it until you either break that guy's shield or you completely take him out, and then you can get that cargo.
Interesting.
But then they'll put certain characters in that particular thing will have like different objective cards in it. It's like if you take out this guy, you can permanently disable a vehicle, even if that guy is protecting it or not.
Oh wow!
So then you don't have to worry about that timer. And then there'll be like another card where it's like if you take out this guy, you get a free card that allows you to add like 5 extra attack to everybody, or extra shields or whatever. And then there's like defense ones where it's like, hey, here's an object, make sure nobody gets it or destroys it, or another one with the offensive one where it's like there's 2 items here, blow them up. So I mean, you get a range. So far I haven't come across, hey, here's an NPC you need to protect, do it.
Yeah, fingers
Thankfully.
crossed.
Yeah. But I am at the point right now where I am supposed to be helping Spider-Man with Venom.
Oh, okay.
That has not happened yet. My son made a comment earlier today where it's like, you don't have a whole lot of heroes, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to get Spider-Man next, but I've kind of just not been doing the story.
Right. Right.
Been having way too much fun doing everything else. So
right.
Yeah, Marvel Midnight Suns, I am having a blast with it. I am really enjoying it, and I'm kind of surprised because I didn't really pay attention to it. And
yeah, because
like
I feel like when they first announced it, they had a really hard time figuring out how to talk about it, and a lot of it was like, yeah, it's like a deck building XCOM, and they're like, not really, but okay.
Well, yeah,
it's like
that's what I heard the most was that it's basically a Marvel XCOM game,
right?
And I'm like, all right, I can enjoy XCOM games,
and it's made by Firaxis, the XCOM people. So like,
however, like they're right now, I don't feel like enjoying an XCOM game,
right.
and that's not what this is at all, and that's kind of twofold, because if you are expecting this, if you are that person who loves that challenge of the percentages and everything else and the time limit, this is not that game. This game will give you the challenge. If you want to feel the crinkle of the leather on your neck from the Hydra soldier pressing down on it,
right.
This game has a hard mode just for you. But it's not, even the normal mode can kind of get that way. There's been a couple spots where it got kind of intense, but
sure.
This isn't meant to be like the show up and it kicks you in the face and then you try to get back up and it kicks your legs off from under you. This is just meant to be a fun project. But yeah, I'm really liking it. If it sounds like it's up your alley, I would highly suggest picking it up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Midnight Suns.
Nice. I have spent more time playing Dwarf Fortress, of course. We talked last week about the fortress I had that was going really well. I retired that fortress. I there's a system in the game that I think it's supposed to drive you a little bit crazy, but I didn't feel like dealing with it on that fortress, especially because the game was starting to run poorly because I had so many dwarves and visitors and everything in my fortress. And the system is essentially, once you start getting to the point where you have a mayor or a baron or something like that, like the standing of your fortress gets higher and higher. Those royals or elected officials or whatever, they can start setting mandates. So it's a lot of like, I need you to go make 3 shields for me. And it's like, by the time you can do that, usually that's not a problem. So that side of it is okay. The other side of it that really was really hurting me in that game was they can also ban certain exports. So a lot of times it's just like, don't sell wooden splints to anybody. And it's like, okay, cool, like that's not really a problem. But in this fortress, one of the byproducts of fishing is going to be a lot of shells. So a lot of what I'm getting in most of my games are like turtle shells. So someone goes out and fishes, they bring it back to a fishery, they like clean everything up, and you get the meat out of it for cooking, and then you get a shell out of it. And with those shells, you can make crafts. So it's a lot of like turtle shell rings and scepters and crowns and amulets and stuff like that.
The touristy stuff.
Yeah, and that stuff sells super well, especially to the humans, because the humans come in like rubbing their hands together like, all right, dwarves make the best stuff. Let's see what you got. So I'm like,
looking for that turtle ring with the name Argon on it.
That's right. Like, so it's like, here, I have 300 turtle crowns for you. How does that sound? And they're like, oh, I love it. The whole like trading system is really odd because it uses like a monetary value for essentially, you're saying like, for example, everybody brings stuff to the trade depot and you have a whole giant list of things that you can trade with. If you say you select all of them and say, all right, this is worth $500, whatever the in-game currency is called, you don't really get to keep that money. You're just essentially saying, here's how much value I have. Now, here's how much we're going to subtract the things that I want from you from that total. And if you want your fortress to be more popular, you essentially kind of give a lot more than you receive, which makes a lot of sense, so that they'll leave. They'll be like, man, those dwarves over there, like, they're rich. They're just giving away money. Like, I didn't even have to do anything, and they just give me like $3,000. No big deal. So normally I have a majority of like crafts that I'm making, and that's how I buy stuff and use for bartering. Every one of my bans on exports were like, sorry man, you can't export bracelets. And it's like, well, that's gonna be a problem. I sort of rely on that. All right, well, let's do the rest of them. And they're like, how about scepters and crowns? Can't do those either. And it's like, you're really just kind of leaving me rings here. And they're like, oh yeah, I forgot about rings, those two. And it's like, seriously? For real, man? Like, these are our only exports. You need to let me export something. I can't just export like food. So I need something. And they're like, yeah, man, that sounds like it really stinks. Anyways, bye. And it's like, oh my god, okay. So it essentially got to the point where those mandates, and they're not really empty bans, because if you go and sell them, the game will remind you when you're at the trade depot. You'll essentially say like, hey, you can't do these. If you try to do it, it'll be like, there are repercussions to not following the mandates. Are you sure you want to do this? And if you decide to do that, then those dwarves just get thrown in jail and kind of just rot there for the rest of the game. So they're not really empty threats. And I was like, this all sounds like stuff that I'm just not going to deal with. So I'm going to retire this fort. It's super successful. And I started a new fortress in that same world. So I should get visitors from that fortress to my new one because they exist in the same world. So
Okay.
I have like a successful one I just left to make a new one.
Are they going to be complaining that your new fort is not as generous as where they came from?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't really run across them too much. I'm still pretty early in my game. I didn't have a lot of time to play this week, but I'm really curious to see, because in previous ones, as I'm sort of learning the basics of the game, a lot of it is like, this fortress, it's just I'm deleting the fortress and just deleting the entire world. Like everything went wrong. I don't even want to think about that one again. It just, nothing happened. We just had a party. Nothing happened. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. And this is the first time where I've had one that was successful enough to maybe kind of stick around with. So I'm very curious to see how that whole system will kind of interact.
Now, is this why you were sharing the War Possum mod so that you can reclaim your lost kingdom?
So I went to go. There's a very famous. It's like two very famous mods for the original Dwarf Fortress, which, if anyone's curious, they're both the classic ASCII one and this premium Steam and itch.io ones are still being developed in concert. So fairly shortly they should both have feature parity between the two of them, and it's really, do you want to play the classic ASCII one that has no mouse support and no kind of the premium graphics pack, or do you want to play this kind of friendlier tutorialized Steam version? And they actually, right before the holidays, they actually patched the ASCII tile set as it is into the Steam version. So if you want to play with a mouse and have it look like the classic ASCII version, you can do that, which is just a wild idea. I am definitely not doing that. I really like a lot of the...
Yes, you will.
No, I
just give you enough time. Enough time, and you'll be done.
Well, part of the thing is I really like the sprite work they've done for this. They've hired a lot of really good sprite artists, and there's so much stuff in the game that looks so different from one another. Like, they just made hundreds and hundreds of different sprites, and for me that goes a long way, because I think it makes the game look really cool, and it makes it, at a glance, makes it feel like each fortress is different from one another, because it visually looks so different from each other sort of right off the bat. So one of the famous ones was Dwarf Therapist, and I guess there was a shortcoming in the original game where it was really hard to manage your dwarves and try and figure out, kind of using their natural skills, what job they would be best at, and kind of managing that whole side of it. It's a lot, from what I understand, it's a lot easier in the Steam version, and a lot of those the things that happened are kind of the things that Dwarf Therapist brought in are there naturally in the Steam version. So they're still working on bringing it over, because there's some stuff that people like that I don't know what the difference is to speak to that. But the other one is I think it's called DF Hack, and it's a lot of like command line terminal based commands where you can say, like, I'm going to select a dwarf and type in like how death, and it's going to give me a log of exactly how that person died, which you can kind of find out in game, but this one is sort of pulling back the simulation a little bit more to get some deeper info if you really, really want to figure out that stuff. There's another smaller one that I wanted to get, and I don't remember what it is, but it changes a couple icons. There's, when you go to create a military squad, there's a red X button on like the bottom right hand of the window that very much looks like close this window. It's not. It's a disband this squad button. And when you disband the squad, it's really hard to make one again, because the game sort of freaks out. So So that one, the mod that I got changes that button into a trash can icon, and then on the lower bar of icons on the bottom of the screen, it just puts the letter of the hotkey that opens that menu. So like the one where you set zones for stuff, it puts a little Z on top of it, so you know, oh, I can just open that with Z without having to go down to the bottom. So I grabbed that, and I was scrolling through the hot ones, and I saw like one with a meme icon. It was the war possums, and it was, you know, whatever it was, like God gives his strongest warriors its hardest battles. That's not me. Please stop challenging me. And it was just a possum. And it was very much like, hey, you want to train possums to be attack animals for your fortress? This is the one for you. And I was like, sorry, what? So it's
Okay.
Dwarf Fortress is real. There was a lot of please nobody write this down for a title. There was a lot of excitement allegedly for a mod that made your gorillas milkable. Apparently people were like, yeah, and it's like, oh, what am I getting myself into? What have I done?
Bunch of nerds.
Yeah, you can make anything you want in the Steam Workshop. So Dwarf, I haven't figured out what I want to do with this fortress yet. I feel like I'm still kind of laying the groundwork for this one, but we'll see what untold horrors I dig up as I continue to delve deeper into the depths of the place I'm trying to live. So I love this game. It's still so good. Next game here, I have been playing more Pokemon Violet. My kid and I just took down my second gym today and my first Titan. It's essentially like large boss Pokemon that are kind of wandering around.
I was literally just thinking about Pikachu with those zipline guns.
That's right.
Flying from building to building.
Yeah, he's really just like going back and forth in time, and it's a real cool level. But I'm still having I'm still having an okay time. I'm still sort of grumpy about the open world stuff. I've just have a walkthrough open now, just to say like, which gym should I be doing next? Oh, cool! I didn't even know there was one down there. Okay, cool. And also, I don't know much about. If people are like, oh, it's the fire gym, I'm like, I don't know which one. I know which type of Pokemon I take in the fire gym, but like, the bug gym, which one should you take? And I'm like, I don't know. There's like 25 types. I don't know what I'm supposed to bring in there.
Fighting?
I don't remember. It was like psychic and something else.
Depends on what they're mixed with.
Yeah, that's the whole.
Is it a bug dragon type or?
You're really honing in on the issues. Yes.
Yeah.
So as someone who's not like the most well versed in Pokemon.
So the original, like, let's be generous and say 300 Pokemon or wherever it was. That was like your multiplication tables from 1 to 5.
Right.
Whereas these days, it's your multiplication tables of 1 to 90.
Exactly.
And you've got all that crossover of yes, no, positive, up, down arrows, everything else.
And
I feel like some of this crap sometimes is more like calculus than it is
100%.
Just following a matrix.
Well, and there's 1,008 Pokemon now, so like there's just a lot, and I don't have that kind of. You guys were talking about it with Monster Hunter, where it's kind of like, oh, I know this monster, and I know how to do this, and I know what to do in my supply bin, and I know how to cook food, and the timing and everything. Like, I don't have that kind of that innate knowledge for Pokemon to say like, oh, it's the dark gym. I know exactly. I'm going to pull out my 6 favorite ones. I'm going to level them up, and we're going to get in there. I'm like, it's the dark gym. I hope my grass starter is good. Nope, we got one shot. Okay, cool. That's let's
they're
let's
all
get out of here.
ghosts, and none of them take damage from
Right.
Whatever I have.
Yeah. So a lot of what I'm looking at in these guides is like, what are the types of Pokemon I can bring in, and then I can largely figure it out from there. Where it's like, oh, you need, ice and steel and rock and fighting. It's like, okay, I can cobble together. I'm catching everything I run across. I can cobble together a pretty good team of 6 Pokemon and kind of try and figure it out. The one thing I keep forgetting to talk about with this game that I actually really like, again, as someone who doesn't know a lot about Pokemon in general, one of the larger stressors in this game is like, hey, this Pokemon wants to learn this new move. What do you do? And I'm like, I don't know. Is Intimidate better than shiny eyes? Is that better than scary face? I don't know. What am I doing? In this one, you can actually hit the X button and ask the Pokemon what it wants to do, and
Okay.
I really like, because it'll be like, hey, this one wants to learn like wing shot, and you can ask the Pokemon like, hey man, what do you want to do? And it's like, I could forget Intimidate to learn that. That'd be cool. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds fine. That sounds good to me. Let's do that, little buddy. And then
There is a ton of them where it's like you get one ability and you're like, this isn't what I wanted or what I thought it was going to do, and I can only use it 5 times in a battle.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, you got Intimidate, and it does nothing. And it has 2 uses, and it's just like...
Hey, Intimidate lowers special defense, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Did you just look that up?
No, I know that off the top of my head.
Oh, goodness. I got to start texting you where it's like, hey, man, I got a water-type gym coming up. What am I going to bring it?
Hey, what's a TM-138?
Yes, Florigado.
I'm actually going to double check right now, see what Intimidate does, because I'm pretty sure it lowers special defense, but I'm going to check.
And it's kind of fun because both my daughter and I are balancing what are the cool Pokemon that we like from the show that we just want to hang out with versus what do we have to bring into the gym to kind of make sure that we're successful.
Sorry, it lowers attack.
Attack, okay. But I do really like that because it helps me understand maybe the attacks or the buffs or the debuffs that maybe I should or shouldn't really care about. And if it's a Pokemon that I don't really care about, it's like, yeah, man, you don't want to learn this one? Sure. You want to trade that out for that? Yeah, sure. You're a bug type, but you got 3 electric moves? Sure, why not? You do you, buddy. So I like that. I like the kind of the quality of life stuff that they've really introduced into some of this stuff. I also got my first upgrade for the like Pokemon motorcycle that you ride, and I got a dash move where the motorcycle drives around a lot faster now, but that means the game runs way worse. So it's just like, it's like, that's cool, but at what cost, Pokemon? Like,
have you considered an aquatic mammal as a solution to this problem?
I mean, if only, but I got like a purple motorcycle, so that's the only thing I got. But yeah, it's fine. The most important thing is my 6-year-old is really into it, and she has a book of like 865 Pokemon or something, so she's kind of always flipping through there, which is great for her learning how to read. So a lot of it is like I'm playing the game and I'm like struggling with a gym type, and she's over there like, oh, look at this, oh, it evolves into this, flip, oh, this is it. And so it's good.
Did you know that one's weak to water? It's like, great, I have no water types.
Well, every time I ask her for help, because she's 6, I'm always like, hey, can you look up this Pokemon and see what the types are? And she's like, no. It's like, fair enough. I will just lose then. Sounds good.
To be fair, as your child is trying to grasp the English language, I don't think it's fair to spout off whatever Pokemon name and expect her to figure out where that is in the book.
I think you're fair, but and that's usually also followed like with like, oh, Daddy, you lost. And it's like, yeah, I did. I sure did. We'll try this gym.
Try harder, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, I'm surprised they don't have like the types cross-referenced all the time with each other.
So they do have the types in game. Like when you're looking at your 6 Pokemon that you have in your party, or you're looking at the Pokemon in your box, it will tell you. Well, I'm gonna introduce a new word here for you guys. You can tell what the 1 or 2 types are for their kind of native inherent types. But then they also have another one for when you terrestrialize your Pokemon, it can potentially have a different... it's a move you can use when you're looking at your Pokemon's 4 moves. You can do it once You can only use it once until you go rest at the Pokemon Center. But essentially, they have another Terra type, where when you terrestrialize your Pokemon, it like encases them in crystal, and it superpowers their moves. If you think about like Gigantamax forms before, or like Z moves in some of the other games, or like Gigamax forms, it's the kind of current iteration of your Pokemon gets bigger and cooler. So you can terrestrialize your Pokemon, and that can sometimes change it from like it's a fire type here, but its terraform is ice, but it's kind of still using fire moves. So it's interesting. It's
getting ever so closer to this becoming a kaiju battler. And
really, yeah. So it's. I think my frustration is you can see the Pokemon's types and Terra types when they're in your party or when they're in your boxes, or if you go look at your Pokedex. But when you're in a battle, it's not really easy to see that stuff. Like, obviously, if you're going to a water-type gym, you're just going to... you're going to try and defeat them with whatever their weakness is. But when I'm just kind of, like, out and about, it's like, cool, I ran into a bug that has a really punny name. I'm assuming it's a bug type? No, that didn't do it. Okay, cool. I caught it, and it's like an electric water type. Sure. Cool. So, I don't know. But it's a lot of, like... It's a lot of that kind of institutional knowledge that you don't have that is fine, but it's a little bit frustrating as someone who hasn't played these games too much. So,
yeah.
It's fine. I'm enjoying it more than Arceus. That one really, I didn't like that at all for whatever reason. And this one's a little bit better, but it's still a little bit frustrating of still feeling like, hey, maybe this doesn't need to be an open world game in general, and maybe it's okay when the game gives you 3 or 4 overall objectives. Maybe if it could just tell you, like, hey, go take down this gym first, or hey, go take down this Titan Pokemon first, because the next one you can run into is like level 55 and you're level 15. That a little bit of guidance would kind of go a long way. But, Pokemon's going to do what they're going to want to do.
Yeah, you just reminded me of the worst Pokemon type, which is Gyarados, which is water and flying and not dragon.
Oh,
which is
right.
Ridiculous.
Well, and
I made the mistake of like Googling Gyarados to double check my facts here the first time. I was right.
Yeah.
But the Bulbapedia.
Bulbapedia is always open on my phone.
Dude, it's like Wikipedia if people were writing dictionary and like encyclopedia entries about these
about
Pokemon.
Magikarp. Yeah, like
it's like
they're wild.
There is like 9 sections, and each of those sections has like 50 subsections.
For Gyarados. Like it's like, how does he look in the Pokemon? How does he look in the anime, the manga, the movies? Which movies does he show up in? What's his Z type move?
Because I know during certain generations, the original anything from the 150s, sometimes some of them had like their stats changed, or their innateness or whatever you were
like
calling
a section
it.
for each generation.
Yeah.
Well, and now they have, this is the Paldea region, so there are specific versions of Pokemon for Paldea. Like Wooper is a different type with a different color, and he has different moves, as opposed to where you might find from the Kanto region that Wooper is a little bit different. So there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff in here.
I know when my son picked this game, I think it was this one, he got like the crystal edition of Pikachu holding balloons, which turned it into a flying electric type.
Yeah, that's when you terrestrialize Pikachu. Because Pikachu's my kid's favorite Pokemon, so he is hanging out with us the majority of the time. But yeah, he's like a crystal flying electric type, and it's just like, I was like, can I just have the Pokemon where they just get really big and they go Pikachu and then like throw a big lightning storm at them? Like that's more my speed. I'm a simple man. But yeah, it continues to be pretty good. I don't know when my kid is going to lose patience with it, but I won't be too sad to drop it. I never finish Pokemon games anyway, so whenever
Does
she's
anybody?
yeah.
The only one I ever completed was Blue.
Yeah, I think I finished one of the DS ones, Black or White, maybe. I don't remember. One of that era, but yeah, I don't know.
I even went as far as to get, what was it, Missing No? The glitch
Yes.
Pokemon under that truck? Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
Man, was that a magical time.
Yeah. And my last game here is Chained Echoes. Spent a bunch more time playing this week. I finished Act 2. Boy, this game continues to go places. It is really exciting to play an RPG that is interested in telling a cool story, instead of just being like, by the power of friendship, like that's fine too. Like I love RPGs like that too, but our heroes here aren't really getting a lot of wins, and the game isn't really, how some RPGs can like revel in being cruel to their characters kind of time and time again. It doesn't really feel like that. It just kind of feels like, yeah, you're not going to win all the time, man. Like, you're not the savior of the planet or whatever. You don't have the inherited powers of your father, and now that you have his sword, you can do the blah-blah-blah. And
some of your...
Can the sword talk? No, thankfully there's no talking swords in this one.
I was saying, some of the party members have, like, back history that, one of them's a criminal, straight up. And she actually uses that in parts of the story of, wait a minute, why is this person doing this? Because that doesn't make sense from a criminal sense. Right.
Yeah, like, it gets squinty eyes of, like, I don't think that's what a criminal would do. And I'm like, oh, no, they figured us out. But yeah, this game is really, really, really good. I think Act 3 is the final act, looking at the trophies, which it isn't too surprising because the story is kind of continuing pretty nicely. I'm still kind of iffy about the mech stuff in the game. I feel like it's still kind of just a little too fiddly for what I'd like. I have absolutely no complaints about the kind of on-foot battles and moving around the dungeons and stuff. I think all of that stuff feels really good. And that overdrive bar that we've been talking about, balancing that continues to feel really great. I'm kind of in that third tier of skills that your characters can learn. So I'm getting into the stuff now where, like, your main character Glenn, actually I'm learning skills where it's just like, add 50 to the overdrive bar, subtract 15. Like, I can kind of do additional pushing and pulling just by spending a couple of skill points, which is really interesting.
Nice.
But I feel like, I don't know if it's me or kind of the battles you're typically put in with the mechs, but I feel like I have a much harder time keeping the kind of arrow in the middle of the mech stuff and not running into overdrive stuff. So that's been a little bit more challenging. It's not anywhere to the level where I'd say, like, no, don't play this game. Like, you should stay away from it. It doesn't ruin the game or anything. It's just sort of like, all right, I got another mech battle. We can do this. Sure. I'll sort of get through it. Really wish I could talk about more of the story stuff, but there's some really cool stuff that's been going on, and I appreciate we're at the point in the story where kind of large things are being unveiled, and kind of alliances and history of the world are sort of being revealed here, and I really appreciate that a lot of the characters in the game needed to hide stuff from kind of your characters, but as soon as the rubber meets the road about, like, all right, they need to know this stuff, the game just kind of unleashes it on you, and as opposed to, like, you're learning it through a flashback, or you're doing something like this. Like they don't really avoid it in a way that I think a lot of RPGs do, which I really appreciate.
They don't do the whole riddle track of, oh, you're not prepared for me to tell you
exactly
whatever, and then they just hint at it forever until you get so annoyed that you don't even care anymore.
Yeah, because like, you know, the thing that especially a lot of JRPGs do, and I'm not sure if it's ever been like a mistranslation thing, but the famous thing that JRPGs do a lot is like, I see that person has acquired that thing. It's just like, oh my god, I don't care anymore. Like, I immediately don't care. It's going to be some sort of weapon. We're going to find out about it 50 hours from now, where I totally have forgotten about it. This game doesn't even do it, and I actually had a conversation with a bunch of characters where it's like, look, I know a lot more than you do, and here is the reason why I can't tell you more. And when you get to that point, I will tell you more. It's like, fantastic. Great. That's it's a revelation in RPG storytelling.
But Boston, how many times has your resolve been tested?
I know. How many times has our friendship been tested? Yeah, it's. I really like Chained Echoes a lot. I really so far highly recommend it if you like RPGs. I'm hoping by the time I finish it, I could even recommend it to kind of non-RPG players that are looking for something that is trying to tell a mature story and have a cool battle system, and you know, it's not something that you just auto battle your way through for 100 hours and then kind of the ending falls flat. That's kind of my hope is, here's a cool different type of RPG that I can recommend, and I'm hoping it gets to that point.
Have you come across any difficulty spikes at all?
There's been like maybe a boss or two. You fight a lot of bosses in this game. There have been a couple of bosses where I'm like, oh, this is okay. This one is not messing around. There was like a big story beat that I hit pretty close to the end of chapter 2, and there was an important boss battle that the game really sold as like, hey, this is going to be serious. Like this enemy isn't going to mess around, and they really didn't, in the way that I was kind of riding the line between, you know, failure or success the entire fight. But that hasn't been too big of a problem. There hasn't been a boss where I'm like, all right, I'm going to fight it, and it just one-shots me and it's done. You know, there hasn't been any of that, thankfully.
Okay, cool.
There have been a couple of like enemies out in the world where the game is very clearly like, you can't go in this area yet, come back way later, or like come back with your mechs and try and take them on again. But that's pretty fair for really any video game. Yeah, Chained Echoes is really great. I've been putting a lot of time into it, because whenever I have you know, more than half an hour to sit down or something, that's what I'm going to be playing. And I'm really marching towards the end. I'm very excited about it. But that's all I'm playing this week. Let's take a break. I need a drink here.
Oh.
What?
I coughed.
Oh.
It's that drink. It's poisoning you.
How much of that sweet corn you got left?
Too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
Just.
Oh, boy. All right. Are you guys ready to wrap this up?
Yep.
Sure.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of January 23rd, 2023. Forspoken comes out on the PS5 and PC. There are, number 1, still continuing to be the only person that is interested in this game, even after the footage is coming out and it's not looking great. But unsurprisingly, a lot of people that have hands-on codes on it right now are having the same feedback as everybody else, which is like, it takes a while to get through, like to get where it's getting good, and maybe it's not for me. It's like, that's fair.
Say it's also not on my platform of choice.
True.
I'm 100% for it, but I deeply want to know what you think about it before I buy it.
Yeah, I will probably be purchasing it here this week.
I'm probably going to buy it no matter what you say one way or the other, and I will probably play it and beat it one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I want to know how soon I need to buy it.
Exactly. Like, where is it on your purchase list? Yeah.
Yeah.
Risen comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. THQ Nordic is porting the 360 and PC Risen game to last-gen consoles, which seems like a strange choice.
Is that the pirate RPG game?
No, it's like the third-person kind of hack-and-slash RPG that was like vaguely mystic. It's if you watch a video of it, you'll probably recognize it. It was not a very popular game by any stretch of the imagination, but it seems to be kind of cult classic beloved. A lot of people are very excited. We're like, yeah, Risen, yeah, the best trilogy. Okay. And it's like, okay, I'm surprised about that. You do you, THQ Nordic. You can just the Embracer Group pulls the strings, and it came out with Risen. So
yeah, that doesn't look familiar at all.
Yeah, it was not a big hit here, really. All right, this next one requires a little bit of explanation because on paper it sounds weird. Hitman World of Assassination comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. So, what IO Interactive wanted to do was they had 3 games that had about a bajillion pieces of DLC in it, and it was really confusing to, hey, I want to play Hitman. It's like, all right, here's the spreadsheet. They're trying to get away with doing that. So Hitman 3 is now World of Assassination. If you own the Hitman 1 and 2 content, like you bought the 2 games, you have the access passes or whatever, all of that stuff will be in Hitman World of Assassination now. It's kind of this one like big umbrella game. If you buy, after the 26th of this month, if you buy World of Assassination, it will come with all 3 games content, so 21 destinations in that one package. And it's all launched, it's all in the same game, it's all launched in the same thing. It essentially uses like the Hitman 3 engine, improvements and all that stuff. You play all of the contracts and all the destinations and all that stuff. That's like $70. There's also a deluxe pack for World of Assassination that includes, it's like $30, includes the deluxe content from Hitman 3 and Hitman 2. So it's like some of the timed stuff and some of the limited things like that includes some of that stuff. And that's it. So like if you want to start playing Hitman now, you buy the World of Assassination thing, it comes with everything. And it's all in the same game and it's done, which is really great. They also, in their press release, they said they're upgrading the in-game store so that if you kind of have a little bit of stuff from 2 and you have maybe half of 1 and you got a bunch from 3, you can kind of buy little packs to fill in the rest of that stuff. But if you're coming in fresh, like if you're me and you don't have any Hitman stuff, you just go buy World of Assassination. It has everything, which 2 thumbs up. Good on you, IO. I feel like that's going to make a big difference. So.
Yeah, they're definitely clearing up the mess that having 3 different publishers caused.
Yeah, 3 different publishers, the third of which, shockingly, it didn't meet sales expectations for Square Enix. Gasp.
Who would have thunk that?
Surprise. So that's Hitman World Assassination coming out on everything this week. And really snuck up on me here, Dead Space comes out PS5, Series, consoles, and PC.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I forgot this was this is Forspoken. Forgot that was coming out this month. Could have sworn it was coming out in March. So getting some.
It's a birthday gift for me, Boston. It's a birthday gift for me.
There you go. All right, that's our releases. Let's talk about news stories. Now that Stadia shut off last week, RIP. Google has released a tool to switch your Stadia controller to be a native Bluetooth controller. If you didn't know, essentially the Stadia controller was using Wi-Fi to connect to your Stadia device of choice. Now they have it's actually pretty simple. You press and hold the Stadia button on your controller until like a light comes on. You plug it in via USB on your computer. You go to stadia.google.com/controller. You click a button, it installs like new firmware, and then you're done. You can still use it. You can use it Bluetooth. You can use it via USB. You can't go back. Once you do this, you can't go back to it working on Wi-Fi, but I don't know why you would want to, because the Stadia service doesn't work anymore. So
you're saying once you go Bluetooth, you don't go back?
That's right. Like I it's one of those. I'm glad they say it, but I'm not sure why you would want to even keep it. And the page will only be available until December 31st of this year. I'm assuming somebody will archive it and make a site of it afterwards, but if you want to do this, just try and do it as soon as you can. Pharaoh Reigns in chat says, genuinely shocked Google did this. I am too. I'm really happy with how they kind of sunset this service. They gave everybody refunds on literally everything they purchased. They gave me a big fat refund for my almost nothing I bought, which I feel like they gave me too much money, but I'm not going to bring it up. And then like the Stadia controller is actually pretty cool. So like it's a fairly solid controller. So instead of it just kind of gathering dust Steam controller style, at least they're kind of saying like, hey, if you want to use this controller, like whatever, good on you. Here, now it's a Bluetooth thing. So it's cool. I think RIP Stadia, you were a cool service. You just couldn't compete with Game Pass. Sorry. That's the long and the short of it.
All Google's own incompetency.
That's true. Nobody can compete with that, including Google. And last news story we have this week, Marvel's Avengers is going to cease development. So this is the sort of surprising that it has continued this long. Crystal Dynamics, it sort of seems like, looking outside in, probably Crystal Dynamics was contractually obligated to support this game for X number of years until the Marvel license expired. And I think it has probably hit that point. So they're just like, all right, now we're done. Bye. They're putting out 2 more patches. It said update 2.7 has Winter Soldier and the Cloning Lab Omega level threat, which is something. That's going to be the last content added to the game. They're going to put out the last patch, update 2.8, in March, where essentially all of the DLC content, like all the paid costumes and all that stuff, will be free for everybody. And then come September, you can't buy it anymore. So if you wanted to play this game, try and find a copy at some point. I'm sure GameFly probably has it for like $7 if you really wanted that.
Probably.
Said, although the plan for multiplayer is to remain available, Crystal Dynamics says, quote, after September 30th, 2023, we can't guarantee we'll be able to address issues that occur due to unforeseen circumstances, end quote. So it's basically like, look, man, we're also done with it, so like, leave us alone. If it breaks, cool, whatever.
One day we will send an intern in there to shut the servers down.
Right. Yeah, once a month someone will maybe go restart one of the servers, and that's about all you'll be getting. So I mean, to be honest, this has been a long time coming. This game has not been received well since Square Enix showed it off literally the first time. It did not review well. It wasn't working for the majority of its life. It just... I'm excited that Crystal Dynamics won't have to support it anymore. Like, it really seems like it's probably a huge weight off the shoulders of let's go work on anything else at this point.
Fable, Perfect Dark, whatever Microsoft have bought them to, whatever Microsoft have paid them to help with.
Right. Yeah. What do you need help with, boss? Forza. Doesn't that sound good? It's like, yeah, probably. So it's a bummer. I mean, I played a little bit of that game and it was pretty okay. But definitely I think a long-term cautionary tale for, does your game need to be a live service? Does it need to have battle passes? Does it need to have live service X, Y, and Z? Probably not. Look at the... Have you heard of the tale of Marvel's Avengers?
Well, the biggest problem, too, was that everyone could see that this was being forced out.
Right.
And they didn't care about that. And I think the other thing that was hitting it was, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, my son and I had to beat the story mode before we could do any co-oping whatsoever.
I remember that being the case, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for something that's supposed to be a live service game, quote unquote, that you're supposed to be able to play with friends,
right?
Seems like a lot of dumb choices were made, and then just nothing ever came about it. So
yeah, it's just such a case of missed opportunity that, we were talking about Marvel's Midnight Suns earlier, where it's like, yeah, I think you kind of got it on that one. Like, you got the gameplay, you got the tone, you got the designs of the characters. I think with Marvel's Avengers, I think most people can agree when they showed it, it's just like, everybody looks a little off. Not that I need them to look like Chris Hemsworth and everybody from the movies, like, I don't need that, but everyone just kind of looks a little weird in a way that I can't put my finger on. It's just odd.
Also, the fact when they were like, hey, you can't play as 4 different Hulks, and everyone was like, why can't you?
Right.
And they were kind of like, why would you want to? And everyone's like, why wouldn't I want to?
Right, like, look at the what are the Marvel beat 'em up games? The one for Switch was Black Order or whatever.
Oh, Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, that's what I want. Where it's just like, yeah, you want to be 4 Hulks? Yeah, cool. This one's blue, this one's purple, this one's yellow, whatever. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
You can customize them to however you want.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's one of those ones where it's like, it's a bummer that they're not supporting this anymore, but I feel good for Crystal D just to like, all right, get free of it. Like, get that monkey off your back, and let's just keep on moving and making other stuff.
Several other Marvel games out there right now that are way better than this.
Yeah.
So.
Have you heard about Marvel Snap? Can I introduce you? Can I introduce you in a little bit of Snap?
I was like, we got Snap, Alliance.
Yep.
Friggin'
Midnight Suns. Yeah.
Spider-Man, Wolverine. At some point, we're all assuming is probably going to be a good game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's all of our news stories this week. That's the end of our episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. You can visit us at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Don't forget to go see our YouTube channel. Put up video versions of everything, even if we don't live stream them. And go sign up for the Discord, especially if you need some help with your Marvel Snap decks, like probably I do. We have a bunch of Snap aficionados over there that will happily help you, and a whole bunch of other stuff. As we start prepping for the next Destiny expansion, hop over there, join the clan, get in on the good stuff. patreon.com/E1M1.
Those ones are the numbers, by the way.
You can get all the stuff we talked about at the beginning, and you financially support us, which we greatly appreciate. It pays for all the hosting, some of the software you use, because Adobe keeps raising the prices. I swear, you're killing me, Adobe. I'm going to die. I'm going to die with just a clutched copy of Adobe Audition and my rotting corpse.
Adobe Edition 97.
That's right. I've got an old copy of like 3.5 around here somewhere because I'm that sort of dork. If you can't support us financially, the best way to support us is by sharing on social media, telling your friends. Word of mouth is really the biggest way of helping the show. And like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And anything really helps. Rating us wherever you listen to, 5 stars. The maximum number of stars would be the best. If you have anything unkind to say, don't say it. Thank you.
Yes. Was that just in the off chance that someone releases a 10 scale?
Yeah, I mean, like, they told me to rate them 5, and it's 5 out of 10, whatever, man. It's like, no, just the most stars, the most thumbs up. However you can get the good stuff.
You can still give us a 5 stars while giving us a negative critique.
Sure.
Constructive criticism. Yeah.
No, constructive criticism is great. I like that. You can send that to me all day, but you want to be like, these woke jerks didn't even like my favorite game. It's like, okay, bye. So don't come at us with that. I think that's it. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Boy.
Bye.
I don't really have any titles this week. Nip, what do you have?
I have What Monster Designed This? The Rarity of the Root. You Can't Export Bracelets. War Possum. That's Cool, but at what cost? When Terra's stylized?
Terrastalize?
Yeah,
That's a totally
terrastalize.
common word. Yep.
Once You Go Bluetooth, ...
Oh, God.
And one that I didn't even write down because I know it's automatically vetoed is Crystal D.
That's fair. Moon, what do you have?
The hardest video game ever. Dark Souls of golfing games. Potentially a veto here, but open the wallet, baby. See the Switch, the War Possum mod, and Once You Go Bluetooth.
I have Monster Hunter all the way down. What monster designed this? And War Possum. I'm gonna put check next to War Possum. I think that's my leader here, just because it's like the dumbest two words you can put together that makes me happy.
I am good with that.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna circle it. And when you guys are ready. I didn't write down
I'm
any
ready.
titles because I'm just exhausted. Shock of all shocks.
Who
Pharaoh-
would have thought it with everything going on?
Yeah, just a little bit of drilling in my house. My favorite, well, you guys are thinking of titles. My favorite thing has been like when I'm working on editing podcasts for my freelance job. It's a lot of like, well, in our realm, we really, and it's just in my house. It's just like, oh, okay, thank you. I'll just start that sentence back over. Let me try that again.
All right, I think I'm good.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 796 for January 23rd, 2023. War Possum.
I did for the Horde Triumph for that mount.
I think my halfling druid could make like a whole battalion of these.
War Possums. War Possums never change. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. What's that, Moon?
I'm pretty sure it was the War Bear what I got, but
Oh, yeah. That was a cool mount, man.
tomato.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and listening. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.